Whorechata.
Hago miau, 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 te dejo espelucao, pao, pao, qué susto, qué relajo, ajo, ajo, el alma que te trajo.
Salpica, salpica, me moja, me pica. Salpica, salpica, me moja, me pica. La chicha bien rica, espesita.
Hello, this is Wires OO, and I am here with DJ Oyyster and Roman Sensation of Whorechata. Hello, guys. So, first question is, what inspired you to create Whorechata, and how did the concept come together?
So Whorechata happened right after the pandemic, and it's like I didn't want to go back to the regular gay clubs in Hell's Kitchen because that's tired, and I was getting bored. And I was like, where are the baddies who actually, listen to SoundCloud, appreciate real underground artists? And that's why I was like, oh, it doesn't exist, so we gotta make it ourselves. And it was like a place too where I wanted to see like other queer people of color, because it was like I didn't want to always go back to like the white spaces and always be like, okay, like how are white people perceiving me? So I was like, let me just make my own world that doesn't exist yet, and then we created it.
And in what ways do you blend traditional Latin culture with contemporary queer nightlife with Whorechata?
I think that we blend all of those amazing things with the people that we book. We're really about our talent, and we're really about giving people opportunities that you wouldn't see in normal spaces. Like in a place like this venue that's like strictly dominated by techno, we are bringing Latin America and putting Latin queer artists in the forefront.
Speaking of curating the performers, how do you go about picking the specific performers and the DJs, and also like the visuals to reflect the spirit of the event?
It's like a long process, like between me, Roman, and Cassandra. We like talk about like, okay, who have we been listening to? Who do we feel like is super talented but hasn't necessarily been given a platform in New York? Because I feel like sometimes we forget that New York is really like a launching pad. It's still like, you can say whatever you want about the US, about New York, but we're still like the cradle of like modern culture and club culture. So it's like, if people see that people are taking off in New York, they can be booked anywhere in the world. So like, our responsibility is to be like, okay, who's DJing in Colombia, who's DJing in Brazil, who's DJing in like all these other places that maybe are like not taken as seriously as New York, but are just as talented, if not more. And it's like, okay, let's bring them to New York so that they can like launch something else from there. So I feel like it's like a balance of like a lot of privilege and a lot of responsibility, but it ends up being like, that's why we bring so many people from like outside of New York.
And who's an artist that you guys booked for this time around that you guys are super excited for?
Who are we really excited for?
Corredor. I feel like Corredor.
Yeah, I feel like Corredor is a big artist that a lot of people are looking to see in New York, and really bringing that Latin flavor and really making the club scene go loud. We want to go hard, we want to go loud, and we want to give Whorechata.
So how important is music in shaping the Whorechata experience? Obviously, it has kind of a club vibe to it, but what genres are essential, like when you're going down the list?
So we love everything. We are not tied to any specific genre. We are bringing anything across the board, but we are definitely focusing on Latin club. We want to keep sexy. We want to give people that space and sound that's liberating and giving people things that they've never heard before.
Another thing is like mixing New York with Latin America, and it's like that creates a sound that is like very unique and very special, I think.
Very true.
Yeah.
So looking ahead, what is next for Whorechata, and are you planning to expand or evolve the event in any ways? Like if looking ahead, like no limits, what could a Whorechata be in the future?
I want us to be like global, so like I want us to be third parties in Mexico, Brazil, Colombia, and then eventually like Europe, like Spain, Germany, London, and then Asia, Tokyo, China, global. Because there's so much talent, And our mission is to just like spread that talent to the rest of the world.
And then these are questions for both of you, so I'll go one-on-one.
Okay.
What was the first track or artist that made you fall in love with music?
Fall in love with music? Oh my gosh, it's such a dangerous question. Personally, I think that our LSD has been an artist for me that I love, respect, look up to, and has really done a lot in the scene and changing a lot of things. And I think that that's someone who, for me, I really have loved since the beginning.
And how about you?
I mean, for me, it was as basic as like Cher when I was like little. Yeah, literally that. And then like she was on her autotune, and I was like, oh my god, like this doesn't sound like a normal, regular person. And I really fuck with it. And it's like I feel like as basic as it is now, looking back, at that moment it was very groundbreaking because it was like she was altering her vocals. She was like,
no, she was the first auto-tune.
Yeah, she was the first auto-tune, right?
She has the super good natural.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
And do you have a go-to song that you know always gets the crowd moving? Like one that you can always
One that I can always count on. Better Off Alone. I feel like that's such a great track.
Yeah.
It's iconic, it's sentimental, and I think there's like billion remixes to it, and everyone hits home for sure.
The nostalgia will always.
Yeah, it's always a good element.
How about you?
I mean, this is very corny, but
We love corny.
I love it.
I
Let's
like
hear
corny
it.
toys.
I mean, I remember just like a lot of Whitney Houston, like obviously like I Want to Dance with Somebody, like that's a song that when I was like coming out, it was like that was a song that really like made me feel welcome into the queer community. So like as like popular as that song is, it's always gonna like bring and like solicit some sort of feeling. Even if it's played in like a very like random context, I'll still like it'll bring me back to like that memory.
And speaking of like the intersection of the Latin and queer community, how do you personally identify with that intersection? And how do you feel? Do you feel a responsibility towards both communities with creating an event?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think personally, I come from a Dominican Panamanian background, and I have to include my background and my roots in anything that I do. So I think bringing my art and bringing other people from communities that you normally wouldn't see is just what we want to strive for. We want to do things different, big, and give a big moment for the Latinx community.
How about you?
I'm Chinese and Mexican, and I was born in Mexico City, and I feel like I faced a lot of challenges from the Latin community of like questioning my Latinidad and like just like being like, oh,
Are you Latino?
Are you Latino? So it's like I feel like my goal is to be like there's so like we're limiting ourselves so much and we're putting ourselves in a box, and it's like we don't need to do that because Latinos are literally as diverse as Americans, if not more. So it's like why are we like boxing ourselves into like what a Latino is supposed to look like, sound like, and I feel like that's my mission with Whorechata is like there's so much like range and so many sounds, so many looks, so many X, Y, and Z, and it's like why are we constantly limiting ourselves and putting ourselves in a box?
Totally. I also feel like the Latino community does often is not thought about as like a proudfully queer community,
Totally.
which is such like a lie and erasure. So putting that on the forefront too, and like showing pride in that way.
Be who you are for your pride.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you guys so much. This has been Wires OO with Whorechata.